Hello, my name is Essence Blue, and today I will be doing my presentation on poverty and child labor. Alright, so in my research paper, I addressed the question in regard to poverty and child labor in the early 20th century. What were 4 views on how to address these problems? So I closely examined 4 different views on how to address the issues of poverty and child labor. I heavily referenced Dr. Ricchiuti's article titled Poverty and Child Labor in Gilded Age and Progressive Era in New York City and the Nation. And I will also reference this article in this presentation as well. So the 4 different views that I examined were from Josephine Shaw Lowell and Samuel McCune Lindsay in the National Child Labor Committee, also John W. Burgess, and lastly Florence Kelly in the National Consumers League. So before we jump into each one of those views, I want to give a little background information on poverty and child labor in the early 20th century. So a quote from Dr. Ricchiuti is, in 1910 in New York City, tens of thousands of children labored for pennies an hour in many of the 12,000 tenement sweatshops licensed by the state. So this is really sad to know that children as young as 5 years old were working in terrible conditions. They worked hard labor jobs. They worked in coal mines, cotton mills, and various different factories. And this is because their families were so poor. They were working 6 days a week. They were working 12-hour shifts, but they just were not getting paid at a living wage. Like the quote says, these children labored for pennies an hour. So that is like nothing to live off of. So poverty just shot up to an all-time high, and these children just had to labor instead of being a kid. They could never just be a kid. They had no way of really getting a good education because they were always working. So a lot of them were uneducated, and that makes it harder when you grow up to find a job. So this was really sad, and all of this was partially due to the lack of public assistance around the world. So jumping into our first view, we have Josephine Shaw Lowell. And Josephine Shaw Lowell really wanted to help the poor, but she believed that the government should stay out of it and not hand out free cash prizes because it creates dependency and it can ruin lives. This seemed a little harsh to me. I don't know that getting help from the government could create such a destruction in people's lives. But this was her view. But a good thing that she did was create jobs and help others find jobs when they didn't have any. So she created this charity organization. It was called the Charity Organization Society, and it was founded in 1882 by Mrs. Lowell. And this organization would send friendly visitors to these poor neighborhoods of New York and just question them and kind of see if they are eligible for their help. So they would assess these people and just see if they qualify for aid or not. But she actually was able to give women jobs to do laundry. They were washing and ironing, and the men also could get jobs in a wood yard if they were physically just like fit. If they were pretty fit, they would be sent to a wood yard. So Mrs. Lowell did have good intentions when it came to fighting poverty, because she was able to find and create these jobs for the poor. But I do think that she was a little harsh in terms of saying that it'll ruin lives if government kind of stepped in. So that is our first view. And the second view is from Samuel McCune Lindsay. Samuel McCune Lindsay was a professor of social legislation at Columbia University and also the secretary of the National Child Labor Committee. So Samuel McCune Lindsay really pushed the government to make child labor laws, and offer aid to the poor. So he did not support having children working in these factories. He wanted to see them getting a good education and just being a child. So he used the National Child Labor Committee to bring light to the dangers of child labor. He argued that the children were being mistreated and they weren't making enough anyway, and their childhood was just being stripped away. And I also agree with Samuel McCune Lindsay's view on this, because I do believe that children are just supposed to have fun in their young years and get educated, and later on they will find jobs and they will work their whole life. But as a kid, you just kind of want to have fun. So I really liked his view. I thought it was a great idea to make child labor illegal. And our next view is from John W. Burgess. And he was a professor of political science at Columbia University. He believed that poor people were responsible for their own lives, and the only way that they would become successful and kind of get out of their situation is if they had guidance from the church and also a good education. He did not believe in giving handouts to the poor. He believed that the poor people would become dependent on government handouts, and he says that poor people just think it is okay to be lazy, immoral, and just use drugs in their free time, which is not always the case. Just because they're living in poverty does not make them bad people. But he believed that having a strong faith and going to church and reading the Bible often, that would help them get out of poverty, which I agree with his view on going to the church, because it can guide you in the right direction, but it is not going to fully get you out of poverty. You really need someone to help you get a job and get paid a good wage. So I'm not sure if John W. Burgess was compassionate when it came to poverty, but it seems like he wasn't really. But some parts I do agree with. All right, his next view we have is Florence Kelly, and this is our last view. So Florence Kelly actually had a background in social reform. Her parents were both abolitionists, so Florence Kelly really knew how to advocate for people who didn't have as much as she did. So she actually got a job at Hull House, and Hull House was a place to go when you needed help, pretty much. It was usually for immigrants to kind of talk and really get to the bottom of bad situations, and just really guiding them in the right direction, and how to get a job and all of that good stuff. So her job there was to kind of scope out the labor industry in the inner cities. And she did that, and her findings, it kind of shocked her. She noticed the poor working conditions and tons of child labor. And she did not agree with that at all. She was actually pretty upset. And she would actually later go on to become the head of the National Consumers League, which is an organization of people who want to change the labor industry for the better. So she really blamed these companies and these owners, these rich people, like, hey, you're not paying these people enough, and you're having kids work in your factories. Like, this is not okay. So she actually made a list of places to support. So instead of spending your money at a factory where they have harsh working conditions and they have children working these long hours, she wanted to promote the good companies that were paying these people decently and did not have children working at them. So she wanted to point that out, and hopefully her idea was that they would lose business and realize, like, this was not okay. I really liked this idea. I thought it was a good one to expose these harsh working conditions. And she was just an amazing advocate for these children and these poor people. And she really dedicated her life to helping others. And I thought that was really great. So that is all I have for this presentation. I just think it's really important that we appreciate how far we've come, because without these people, we may still have child labor, and we might still have these harsh working conditions, but they really voiced their opinions and they really pushed for change, and I think that's really important.